Okay, so I believe I can start now. But a show of hands, who are against AI? We have one. Okay, I just wanted to take the temperature, to know the direction where the tomatoes will be thrown from. Usually I start, well, I have a small story for you. It's a life-changing story. It happened to me 2 years ago. I was working in Rail Baltic as an engineer. My boss, Kaitis, told me that congratulations, you will be working with data and automation. I thought, fine, I might get a higher salary, but what it really meant was that I need to perhaps 50, 60, 70 times every morning to click the buttons. And it was so depressing, I thought I'd quit. But then GPT-3 came out. I took a print screen. I described to the chat what it is. The chat suggested me 3 scripts. Then I sent it to the IT department. They said, okay, the second option is safe, we can go for this one. And basically, for 2 years, this is what my morning looked like. I woke up, I clicked just one refresh, and then I went for a coffee. I was just enjoying the morning. If it was the spring, the summertime, I enjoyed the sun. And at the same time, simultaneously, this solution suggested by ChatGPT did my job, basically. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking at how the computer is working instead of me. So I started to talk about it a bit more, and now, well, I'm not working for Rail Baltic anymore. The past 2 years I have been consulting, training on the topic in Estonia and abroad. And since I'm an engineer, I'm often quite critical. I look at the system through a very critical lens, and perhaps this is the reason why Endover called me 4 months ago and said, okay, you sound good, but what if we offer you a job and ask you to implement all this in our company? And then I thought, okay, this will be a challenge because implementing and talking are 2 very different things. Anyway, this is why I'm here today. So I have been implementing this for 4 months. I work with EBS, therefore I know what's happening on the Estonian market in that sector. And today I will tell you about what was last year about. It was more about hype. The expectations were very high, and by the end of the year, it's my feeling anyway, many felt disappointed. Show of hands, who has been disappointed in AI? Well, a few hands, yes. So I will also tell you what has changed, because in my view, about 2 months ago, there was a kind of a revolution. And it has an impact on companies as well. And also, what could we ignore quite calmly? Perhaps it's a bit subjective, but as I work with construction, engineering, sales, creative department, so I know what kind of systems are too complex. Now, the story of Endover, I cannot tell you all the stories unless I want to lose my job. But in principle, what we have used in Endover, and let me tell you, AI implementation is going very successfully. And a few recommendations, suggestions for you. My objective, I have 15 minutes left. My objective for today is to have an entertaining but also very useful presentation for you. So, looking back at 2025, I believe many of you have had an introductory course to AI. You know what generative AI is, you know how to generate text, videos. images, perhaps speech. Is there anyone who does not know how to write emails with AI? One day the chat was down. I called my colleagues and said, can I respond tomorrow to your email? But also generating videos, those of you who are interested, Vault the Sky advertising. You can check this video out, 100% AI, high quality video, very beautiful video indeed. So 2025. I'd say that the businesses got acquainted with the AI. So they thought about what kind of chatbot do we move on with. ChatGPT was quite popular. Major companies, Rail Baltic, for example, opted for Copilot, and then everybody started testing. I believe most of you have tried AI for emails, reports, generating texts. Perhaps some have moved further, transcribe a meeting. I believe you have used transcriptions of Teams meeting. You've asked ChatGPT to summarize. It's really constructive. But in December 2025, people more or less understood that these tools lie. One CEO of a big company told me that, you led me to the ChatGPT. I noticed that it lied. I told the tool that you lied, and it answered that, yes, I did. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm fed up with these kinds of dialogues that every time I tell someone that, I work with AI, and then in 2 minutes I'm convinced they will say that, okay, but they hallucinate, they lie, they tell lies. And it's okay. If you want to talk to me, then please don't start with this. Now, what's important? In 2025, some people felt that they are disappointed that it's just a big bubble. I know 2 companies where they've banned the use of linguistic models, but there are also some people, enthusiasts perhaps, who thought, what does the linguistic model really mean? So ChatGPT, these are just statistical models that combine together various words using statistics, algorithms, and then people started to look at the work processes in their companies. Where can we use such models and where can we not? Bearing load, for example, hopefully engineers will not use ChatGPT, but if they need to produce sales material, then why not? People also started to understand how to prompt right so that your results are better. I have a friend who learned how to prompt, and there was a Christmas party, and he said he was very popular. All the ladies came and said, you are good at prompting. How can you solve this? Then he took the phone, prompted very nicely, and the result was excellent. And the women were, oh, wow, you are prompting so good. So the skill of prompting is something that people have acquired. But in my view, the revolution that took place happened 2 months ago when Claude came out. So those companies who know Claude, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know about the others. I don't know the other speakers, how they prepared their slides. I, of course, used Claude. Claude is now in PowerPoint, Word, Excel. It's a brilliant tool. You can see the context. It offers you slides, ideas. By the way, the speakers who needed to... I don't know how long other presenters spent on preparing the text materials for the interpreters, but for me, with Claude, it only took a few seconds. Of course, when I showed to others how Claude works in Excel, then our accountant, Jana, is over there. I think Jana was a bit skeptical in the beginning about AI, but yesterday she came and told told me that, I tried Claude in Excel and it was pretty good. So if your prompt is good, if you have Excel, Claude can analyze this wonderfully. You can tell them that you are very experienced financial analyst, and the fun part of it is that Claude prepares the Excel with all the references. You can produce it once and then also repeatedly use it in the future. And for me, this was the change that we've been waiting for. About 2 months ago, Claude came out. In Endover, we are now starting to implement this, and people use it more and more. Another thing, in Word, it was the first time when the lawyers gave me very good feedback about using Claude. And what's more, Claude can also work with your local files. It means that you can connect your local folders with your local Claude, and you can generate various dashboards. Here, for example, we had data collection of our promos. So we just open it, and within a minute you get all the information you need. We are currently working with a developer, and each button usually takes weeks to add it. If you want to get more from this dashboard, if you want to remove something from the dashboard, it takes weeks. But with just one prompt, here you can get everything you need. And in Endover, it's really exciting times because people can now independently generate various tools, but I'll come back to that. Now, what can we ignore? So this slide has been prepared with Claude. It's not perfect, but it just took one prompt and the slide was ready. So what to ignore, in my view? If your company is only starting with this topic, then perhaps you can forget about local models. It's a bit too expensive, time-consuming. Also, full-scale automation, NA10 platforms like that, perhaps it's a bit too complex if you're just starting up now. Prompt engineering, well, perhaps 18 months ago, I would have said that yes, you should learn how to prompt. But now I think know-how is all you need. How to get good prompts. Write in chat or in Claude. My task is X, the result has to be Y. Give me 20 questions to clarify. Generate a good prompt based on that context, and then you can just use the prompt. So you don't need to learn how to prompt yourself. But it seems to me that in 2026, everybody already knows more or less how to come up with a good prompt. Actually, in my personal life, my wife, of course, using ChatGPT, writing why my husband's pedagogical methods are all incorrect. Then the arguments are handed to me. I prompt that, okay, you're a psychologist who thinks differently, and then you get the opposite arguments. I pass the phone back to my wife. Perhaps a year ago it would have been a conflict, but now my wife can prompt, and she just continues. So we have, so to say, a battle of prompts in our apartment for 30 minutes until the tokens run out. Okay, I have a few more minutes left. So what's going on in Endover? Since I've had the introductory training sessions or seminars in Endover, I knew that people know and understand where the risks are, but apparently if it's just an introductory course and if you don't have someone in the company who kind of promotes the culture on a weekly basis, then the systems are just sitting there and you pay for it. Therefore, in Endover, we have a tradition that every week we will have coffee with AI, 20 minutes. People are just having coffee and sharing their stories about using AI during the week. This morning, we also had the coffee with AI session. We spoke about Claude and how it has a dispatcher. For example, in the headquarters, my computer is in the headquarters. I can take my phone and Claude can access my computer or assistant. Yes, so the Claude assistant can help me get the data or information. And of course, we also analyze the quantity, how people are developing. We can see that over the past 3 months, people have started using more AI. We can also analyze how they use it. The key element here is security, of course. You know the automation bias, that if you talk to chat too much, then perhaps you know that you have to be critical, that you have to verify and check. But actually, if you get 20 correct answers, then at one point you think, okay, I will not look into this, I will just trust it. I have a former friend, who started using AI, sent a report to the superior with all the wrong figures in the report, and that's why it's a former friend of mine. So in Endover, I said it was a very drastic change when we started using Claude. Even people on the field, they are vibe coding various tools for themselves, how to monitor, how to follow up certain processes, how to do the calculations, etc. So that was a bit of a surprise. Because during the coffee with AI, we also have Kahoots, just to inspire people and to encourage them to try and test things out. And a few tips, just subjectively, my conclusions, my tips, based on what I see in Endover, but I also consult companies. Therefore, my tip number 1 is find an AI champion in your company, someone who is responsible, because if we are all responsible, then nobody really is responsible. The AI champion must have critical thinking as well. If they are too enthusiastic about all kinds of new pieces of software, because the new updates are coming every week, then it's a bit difficult maybe, but if the AI champion is a bit reserved or critical, then it's very good. Also, please do understand the core definitions or principles here. Because MCP, tokens, linguistic models, visual models, Opus 4.5, I think the managerial level also has to understand what this all means. Let's take tokens, for example. In Endover, we don't talk about whether we use tokens or we don't use tokens. We talk about who gets the tokens. I'm the most popular, or, well, not perhaps, at least I'm very influential because I have the tokens. Very often people are calling, I've run out of tokens. Give me some more, give me some more. Okay, so you need to know what we are talking about. Things are changing. Map your processes. It's essential. What's also not tempting, but perhaps a problem, is that in 2025, our expectations were so high that sometimes we still think that AI can solve this or that. But in reality, and in Endover, I would say 80% of cases, you can use classic data analysis and that solves the issue. And if you don't know this kind of analysis, then the linguistic model can help, because very often we can use statistical systems to generate logical systems. Also, in-house trainings, company culture, this is something that we have to focus on, because I know several companies who have invested a lot into Copilot. People don't see the benefits, nobody's sharing the use cases, but you still continue paying the bill. Perhaps you can say, yeah, we are an AI-driven company because we do it, but in reality, it's pretty sad if no one is really working on it. Well, just a final thought here. Of course, we can, metaphorically speaking, the technology is moving forward. And it's our decision to take whether we hop on the train and move along with it, or we stay behind and wave to our competitors as they are moving further away from us. So, of course, expectations were high, but now it's time to understand that it is a tool. It has certain restrictions and limitations, but still it's a tool that enables us to generate data, analyze data, so that we can take decisions based on the data. The decisions will be of higher quality. We can provide better real estate to people because we are using the tool in the right way without losing our critical thinking. So many thanks and questions, if you have any.
Thank you, Dmitri. I invite you to send questions to Dmitri using WorksApp. I can see one question here, and it is whether Claude is for a fee. It's very important. If you have only used free of charge versions until now, then you are about 1.5 years behind the paid versions. I would say that never use the free of charge versions. If you wish to use AI, you need the best model available. Claude is for a fee, about as much as you would pay for ChatGPT. And in Endover, as you may know, ChatGPT is better using Estonian language. For example, marketing and sales are using ChatGPT. Other departments are using Claude. So we try to manage the licenses in this way. My contact details are on the slides. If you have questions or you want to write to me, even with criticism, you can use a bot to write to me. I'm always happy to help. I sent some questions beforehand to other presenters. I didn't do it with you because you would employ AI, so I will make you think for yourself. This is not very common as of late, but if you want to philosophize, will AI take jobs away for people, or will they just transform them? I like philosophy a lot, and I think we need to have a philosophical point of view in this matter. We are undergoing a transhumanistic era. We're thinking about how humans and computers can do things together more, but the machine will dominate over the human part. And maybe another comment. 2 weeks ago, there was a study which demonstrated empirically with formula that if we automate in a way that the machines take jobs away from humans, then who will be buying products if people do not have income? So this is a challenge for humans, but I only speak about utilitarian things today. About philosophy, maybe in another forum. There's no one in this room who hasn't used AI. But if there were people somewhere, then what would be your tips for these people to begin? First, you would need to pay for ChatGPT or Claude. Make sure you are using the best model available. It's not that expensive, 25 euros. And then try it for a month. First, write into the chat your question or your task, and then ask me 20 questions, one question at a time, about this topic to understand what I need to do or how to get to the result I want to achieve. This is the most foolproof way to start. But here we are on the leadership stage. If leaders were to adopt AI in their business, what are the things that may go wrong or should be avoided? You shouldn't use the free of charge version. It's of course a cost. If you have a large company, you would need to pay for a lot of licenses. You need to think about the return on investment. So maybe it would make sense to start from the processes. After you have mapped your processes, you will see, for example, you see that marketing is doing the LinkedIn postings manually. The linguistic model will perform better than the Excel reports. Yes, you can automate this. We may want to involve a consultant who might be able to help. I think that this would make a lot of sense for the leaders. This is not an advertisement, of course. So start from the processes. Decide that we may benefit from statistical models. Here we may benefit from deterministic models. You shouldn't use AI for calculating, for example, some weight-bearing numbers. I think the AI consultants are well paid. You have the best tie of today's speakers. A good topic. I saw an advertisement by the LHV bank looking for someone. No, I'm not applying. I'm sticking with the company I'm employed at. I know about 3 or 4 companies who already have a head of AI. Postimees Group, some construction engineers. Things are developing very quickly. If you need to do accounting, it's difficult to catch up with what's happening. Is an AI expert someone who is working closely with the IT manager or a process manager or someone else? A difficult question to answer. It seems to me that it's good to have some kind of background in IT. A person would understand what statistics are or what a deterministic system is. On the other hand, I have seen people who do not understand about what business is like. They do not provide good advice or make good suggestions in terms of business. So we need to find a balance. We have received one good question from the audience. Have you asked from the chat when Rail Baltic will be ready? I was wondering if I'm going to get Rail Baltic related questions. I no longer work for Rail Baltic. If you want to chat with the ChatGPT about Rail Baltic, there's an assistant called Monday. It's skeptical and critical. If you are in a bad mood, then use this critical assistant to talk about Rail Baltic. This is all I can say. Maybe that's why I no longer work there. Is I've spoken about this elsewhere. But my last question, a bit more personal. Whose suggestions do you follow at home, your wife's or Claude's? I do not know where to draw the line. I'm thinking whether I live with Claude or with my wife. It's a good question because I have kids. That's also something very important. I don't allow them to use, of course they do use, but the AI. But we try to keep the human part bigger than the AI part at home. And I recommend the same to you. In any case, thanks a lot, Dmitri. I think this was eye-opening for everyone. I fell in love with you when I first saw you, so to speak. And the next training will be Dmitri 2.0 or nothing, 3.0. No, it depends on the amount of tokens, maybe 2.0. Thank you. Dmitri has earned a round of applause.